I hope you can see V&A
Yes, we
logo.
can see your screen. Yes, we can.
Great. Hello, I'm Luca Carini from the Victoria and Albert Museum, London. And I'm going to talk about how we've been using IIIF to make the most of our new images of the Raphael cartoons. The Raphael cartoons on display at the V&A have just undergone an extensive new digitization project. There are 7 cartoons in total, and you can see there with a conservative scale just how large they are. And this poses a real technical challenge when it comes to digitizing them. And it also means they've always been very difficult to fully appreciate in person. The digitization work was part of a major restoration project to mark the 500th anniversary of the Renaissance masterpieces. And after their remarkable history of survival so far, we owe it to them and the public to ensure that all the imagery and associated data for the cartoons now be catalogued as structured data for posterity and onward collaborative research. And as part of the gallery refresh, with new high-resolution scans obtained for each of the 7 cartoons in colour, infrared, and a 3D surface scan of each, a new interpretive approach was designed for people to access the cartoons both in gallery and online as never before. So, in the same year that Flash finally died on the web, we continued to develop a range of interactive viewers to present all kinds of object image data and to tell the stories of objects like the cartoons, all based on IIIF, which has digital preservation at its heart. Here you can see a viewer we'd already been putting to good use on our site for exploring images, with annotations linked to areas of special interest, all stored as useful structured data in IIIF manifests. Sadly, the same can't be said for so much content and data that have been locked up in Flash microsites all over the internet, including a whole host of our own. That won't be the case for this, and as you'll see, the same data, underlying data, can be useful, will be used across multiple viewers. We've been gradually developing our IIIF infrastructure at the V&A to improve our image data workflow generally. We've also been developing a host of specialised IIIF viewers to add narrative and deeper interaction to the presentation and study of object imagery. Here you can see our Layerstack viewer used for overlaying image variants in a stack so that differences between images can be examined incrementally and in fine detail. This particular viewer proved useful right from the initial phase of the digitalisation project, when multiple teams in the museum and outside were trialling experimental imaging and scanning techniques and their outputs. So besides comparing the quality and resolution of all the enormous master files, this viewer was especially helpful in checking the alignment of the different scans. You can see here the 3 layers stacked on top of each other are infrared, visible light, and then the surface scan. And in the demo there, I'm just blending between the visible light image and the surface scan, or rather with a 2D projection of the surface scan. And you can see the quality there, and it aligns pretty well. And when you've got a blend of the surface scan and the visible, like you have somewhere around here, it really approximates closely to something like the experience of standing with your nose up against the real cartoons. Another viewer we've developed, similar to Layerstack, but based on the Curtain Sync OpenSeaDragon plugin, provides an alternative way to compare the various scans, this time by more of a contrasting action. Both the scientific grade viewers for examining all the results of the imaging project at the deepest level. Researchers could make new discoveries using them, while casual visitors can intuitively explore the works up close. And everyone has the opportunity to view the cartoons in better detail than even their curators have had in the past. See here, there I had just turned off the surface view, gone back to full color. Now homing in on a detail and switching on the infrared. I hope you can see some underdrawing, which shows up in the infrared. It was Raphael's cross-hatching for the shading there on the wood. And there's evidence of underdrawing apparently around the forehead area there. Switching the surface back on so that all three layers are visible at once. You can see the outline of the figure, which is traced, I haven't mentioned. So the outlines of the details were traced onto the weaver's loom in order to produce the final works, which were the tapestries. Now up close you can see a watermark that we discovered, well, one of us discovered. This is plain in the 3D view, and once you know it's there, you can see hints of it in each of the others. You can see, back to seeing the whole canvas there. The texture really comes out in that surface scan. And I think here you see up close some of those pinholes that I mentioned, where details were outlined. This was a crucial part of the process for transferring the design of these cartoons on towards making the final tapestries that they were commissioned for. Now, everything I've shown so far you can explore on the V&A website, but the crucial point about these viewers is that they are all IIIF compliant. And that means the image data they present can equally be viewed in any of the other IIIF viewers already in use amongst researchers, such as Mirador. Here you can see our same manifest of the cartoons loaded into the Mirador viewer. I'll demonstrate. Well, you can see already the separate layers are still available for each cartoon. I've just left the miraculous, which one's that? I've left one of our cartoons up, Christ Charged to St. Peter, and I've pulled in another manifest of works by Raphael directly from the National Gallery's collection, which is very made easy by IIIF, and you can see the sort of thing that a researcher might do with their own workspace, pulling in related works from different collections. And as a similar demonstration, but back in our Layerstack viewer, I've brought in two prints, both relating to one of the cartoons. this one is the Miraculous Draft of Fishes. One is an albumen print, a type of early photograph made in 1860, belonging to the Getty Museum, made readily available from their collection via IIIF. The other, which you can see now, is an even earlier type of print called a backstereotype from our own collections. And so those are the 3 layers stacked on top of each other after doing some simple work just to align them. And it's surprising how good the alignment is, given the vast differences between each of the techniques involved. Never mind the span of time between their production and the sheer scale of the cartoons themselves. It's quite remarkable. So now these new scans of the cartoons will be easily accessible for further research, including comparison against renditions from other collections, as I've shown. Of particular interest, though, will be the new opportunity to marry the cartoons back up with the tapestries that they were originally commissioned to produce. And so it's very exciting to see that the Vatican Museum, who own the tapestries, you can see one of them here now, again the Miraculous Draft of Fishes. The Vatican Museum, who have just recently launched their new collection site with IIIF support, which you can see there. There was a little IIIF logo. So that means we're, we've got access, anyone will have access now to that resource, and putting them together. Watch this space as IIIF makes it possible to bring the cartoons and their tapestries together once again, and closer virtually than they have been in centuries. I can't wait to have a play with that. But that's all from me. V&A does unfortunately remain closed at the moment, but you can explore the cartoons in all their glory on the V&A website. And there's another link there which I'll get dropped into the chat in case you're interested in the source code, the open source code between some of our viewers, which you're free to use. Anyone is free to use. That's it from me.